Let's say you always wanted to explore analytics path, but you've never known how to start. It's real easy in today's world full of data. AI also helps, and that's how we're going to start our journey of analytics. First, we go to our friendly AI and ask it for 500 rows of Power BI data. It will be an easy data set to grasp, but that's more than enough to start our journey. We'll download the data and connect to it in Power BI. First, we go to the Power Query Editor in order to load the CSV dataset. We right-click on the Queries fields, which finds itself on the left side of the screen. Choose New Source and Text/CSV and then search for the file you want to import. Now, since I'm in Europe, we use commas as decimal separators. So we'll replace dots with commas. We'll also change the format of revenue and profit columns so that they're decimal numbers. We don't need to do anything more with the data, so let's load the data to the report. Now that the dataset is loaded, we'll take a look at it and familiarize ourselves with it. In here, as you can see, it's all about category and region of sales and revenue/profit KPIs. That's what we want to analyze. While familiarizing with the data, always try to imagine what other fields/ measures would be useful in that dataset. We can also calculate an easy measure, which would be profit margin. We'll make use of divide and sum functions in order to calculate the margin. I've also put a 0 at the end as an alternate result so that we don't receive errors. I like to start looking at the data using some kind of table or matrix. For me, it's the most convenient way of a first contact with the data. It helps me to go to the conclusions easily. Let's say that we want to check who and in which region sold the most in terms of revenue. We can also add product category dimension. By adding it to rows of a matrix, we enable drill down option in the report. Now we're going to make our first chart. It'll display revenue and profit, while also using time dimension on x-axis. Here's a simple line chart that allows us to see the relationship between the two figures. We're also going to add our measure to the chart, but it needs to be on a separate axis since it's in different units, percentages instead of thousands of USD. Better way of visualization of these measures would be to use column chart in combination with line chart, which we'll use for profit margin. Instead of 3 lines that are a bit messy, we receive a chart that displays main measures using cluster column chart and profit margin using line chart. Now some color play. A lot of reports that you're going to see will be really flashy, but that's not how the data should be consumed, or not how you should visualize the data as an analyst. In real business scenarios, you want to use colors in order to point attention of user to some aspect of the data. In our case, it'd be profit margin, so it'll be colored using some brighter color. Also remember to rename columns added to the visual. You don't want legend to be saying some of XYZ. Now it's time for a cleanup. First, we hide the visual title. We'll also hide axis titles. These are not needed if we have legend and grid lines. They really don't help in making the visuals readable. As you can see, Power BI allows us and users to cross-filter visuals. We'll now make 2 separate pages, one for visual and one for tabular data, so it's easier for users to consume. If you create a page that will be visible in the final report, make sure to rename it, so that end user has an idea of what can be found on a given page. Let's also remember to add filters to the report. Our report contains 3 important categories that we can use to drill down and filter data with. Those are region, category, and sales representative. By using filters, we can play with the data and see who sold the most, what were the biggest sales happening, and seasonality for each region. Those are just examples of conclusions that you can have after analysis of chart. Also, as for the type of filters, I really like drop-downs since they take relatively small portion of the page. Users usually are accustomed to that type of filters and can operate them efficiently. You can copy and paste visuals using Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V. It's useful if you want to have really similar elements on the report page. Let's change the format of profit margin percentage. It'll automatically readjust the scale on line chart to be showing percentages. Also change the starting point of secondary y-axis to 0. We have only positive numbers in profit margin measure. We also want to add a descriptive title, with which we can inform user about purpose of the report and displayed data. Under the title, we can also mention units of measure for different data we have in the report. As you can see, I make sure that the title is visible, since it's an element that, just like any other visual, can help to understand the data better. I've also found in my experience that leaving info about units of measure to be really useful, so that you skip all of the questions regarding unit type. That will be all for today. We've learned about data import and some basic ways of visualizing the data, as well as some good practices in visualization. In the next episodes, we'll investigate some more advanced DAX measures like cumulatives and totals that we'll display in both formats, visual and tabular. Hope you found this video to be a useful start in your data analytics journey.